good morning on this May 26th, 2021, which is tonight is a full moon, which they're calling a super blood moon, because they call it super because it's closest to the Earth. And there is a lunar eclipse. So I believe it can be viewed in the east of Australia at around 7:30. You'll start to see things. So it'll be about 5:30 over in the western Australian states, and at 9:11, I believe around 9 o'clock, it's the full covering of the moon. So that's the sun, the earth, and the moon all lined up to create an eclipse tonight. So those of you who are interested and feel very connected to the moon, be something for you to go and have a look at tonight, because apparently in Australia and like we're in a really good position to be able to see it, whereas other parts of the world won't be able to see it. So and the solar flares are sort of creating this energy, because as I mentioned in a post the other day, my energy on Monday, I think it was, felt so heavy, like really, really heavy. More like when I got that feeling when there was an earthquake coming, this felt different. This is like explosive energy. Like I can just feel explosions of energy like out there, and it could have a lot to do with the solar flares, because if they're integrating to the magnetic field around Earth, then and we're full of where we can pick up magnetized energy ourselves, then it's quite obvious then why we are feeling this in our own physical bodies and feeling a heaviness or feeling pain or headaches or not being able to sleep. So that makes a lot of sense if the solar flares are actually upsetting your energy. And I've said this quite a lot of times. We all build up energy in our bodies, and the more you are doing spiritual work and you're maybe doing healing work or readings for other people, if you're doing this sort of similar work, you're absorbing energy all the time. And when it builds and builds and builds in your body and you're not getting it out there, if you're not actually healing other people, or if you're not sort of assisting other people with your energy, you will start zapping things. So this happens to me if I've had a couple of days where I just haven't done any readings or I haven't helped anybody with anything, and I've just sort of stuck to myself. If I go to the supermarket, I touch the trolley and I zap it. I zap the car, I zap the TV when I turn it on. I've got a wood fire here, and when I open the handle, I zap it. I go to the back door, slide the door, I zap it. It's such a loud magnetic, like zapping sound of electricity that everyone in the house hears it, and I can touch people and zap them. So, but then once when I realize I've built up too much energy in my body, then I'll go and do a healing on someone, or I'll go and do some readings and get back into getting it out of my body. And otherwise it just builds up. I've actually set off car alarms on so many occasions from the energy in my body building up. I walk through Bunnings, and as I walk past, the car alarms will go off, and people that are walking with me, they think it's really funny, and I kind of feel really embarrassed by it. So I just kind of feel like they think I'm trying to steal their car, but I'm just walking past and setting off the alarms. So you may notice that in yourself. You may notice that you get a lot of that built up energy. So yeah, so tonight is the moon, the super moon. We have the solar flares happening. And I also want to talk about keeping things alive, keeping energy alive. So this happens a lot in our bodies. Our cells retain memory. So let's say when you were a young child, you're riding your bike and you fell off your bike and you really injured your knee, and you had blood on your knee, and it was really upsetting for you. if you were the type of child who really, at the time that you injured yourself, really wanted your mum or dad to um, give you some love and give you some attention because you hurt yourself, and maybe they just said to you, "Oh, get up, you're all right," but you wanted to have attention from them, you wanted to be comforted, and you didn't get it. And that memory of that feeling goes to that knee. And because you've probably actually damaged your knee as well, like the soft tissue in your knee could have been damaged or bruised. So it becomes those cells become a weak point. But you can put your emotional memory with that weak point. So then later on, when you say you're in your teenage years and you find your first boyfriend or girlfriend, and then you break up and you become heartbroken, it's your first love and you've become heartbroken, and then you get that emotional pain, and instead of processing that and allowing yourself to feel it, you hold on to it, and that same memory pain goes back to your knee, and it adds to that area until you keep adding to an area in your body until you find later on you've got knee problems and you're going for knee surgery because it keeps going into that one area. So a lot of our cells in our bodies can hold on to the memories of pain because we haven't learned how to let it go through, like let it go through the body rather than hanging on to it. So you might notice this when maybe you've got really sore shoulders, and it's always when the same kind of emotion is coming up, something's happening in your life, and you start feeling that same emotion, you get the pain back in your shoulders because you keep putting it into the same place in your body. I used to do that with my digestive system. I would get, if I got overwhelmed or if I got very, very anxious about something because I couldn't control it, I would put it into my digestive system. That's where I held it, like in my solar plexus here. And then I would screw up all the nerves in my digestive system, and then I would have so many stomach troubles. So then, because my nerves were firing up because I was getting anxious. So it's all connected. It is, when they always say mind, body, spirit, it is so connected. When you've got your mind totally letting go of stuff, not hanging on to the past, it allows your body to let it go, and everything can just flow. And what was I going to say about that? I just had a thought then that I was going to say something about the cells in the body, because our cells are dying all the time, aren't they? They die and they regenerate. They die and they regenerate. So why do some cells start getting, like, they hold this memory of this disease and they start like fighting itself and creating a problem in the body? Like, what is that? What is that? Because I know our brains are so, we don't even use half our brains. There's so much in there that we can use to heal parts of the body, but we've also got to heal the emotion that goes with it. So I know what I was going to say. Hanging on to things, like hanging on to, sometimes we hang on to the past because we hang on to a feeling, and we're more comfortable hanging on to the feeling because there's a fear of letting that go. And I had this discussion with a lady who has a really difficult time with OCD. Excuse me. She can't stand losing anything. If she lost the top of a pen, like the little clip thing on the top of a pen, like this thing, if she lost that and couldn't find it, it would throw her into absolute chaos. Now, anyone else would go, that is ridiculous. Like, just go and buy another pen, throw it out. But this particular lady can't get out of that thought that she lost something, that she lost control, that she may have failed. Her need to control is like controlled her life. It just destroys her life, and she knows it. She's a very intelligent woman and she knows that's her problem. She just can't quite take the step to break this pattern of thinking because, as I said to her the other day, are you more comfortable knowing you can live with OCD than you are more comfortable knowing that you could live without it? Because there is so much fear in her that if I don't have this, what will my life look like? There's more fear on what her life would look like. It's just, it overwhelms her. So instead of trying to heal herself, she'd rather hang on to her problems because at least she knows what they are. She's comfortable with what they are. So that's like just hanging on to things because that's what she wants to do. And no matter how many psychologists she goes to and how many people she talks to, she's not prepared to let that go. She wants to keep it alive. And that is happening with anything that you continually go over and over and over and over, you keep it alive. And you've got to ask yourself, why am I keeping this alive? If you're thinking about somebody that's not in your life anymore, why do you keep thinking about them? What is it that you're trying to keep alive? It's something to do with you. It's not to do with them. It's something to do. Did they make you feel good? Did they give you something that you're trying to get from somewhere else and you can't find it? So have a think to yourself, what is it that why am I hanging on to that? So what is the feeling that I'm hanging on to? And is it more comfortable? Because even like when they talk about themselves like this happened to me and that happened to me and that everyone else is to blame for my life, when they talk like that, they're hanging on to that because it's like being a victim because they're comfortable with it. They understand that. If they didn't have that, they wouldn't understand themselves, and that creates fear. And when you're talking about anything that's happening in the world, when you talk about it over and over and over, you're keeping it alive. Even if you don't want something to happen, you're keeping it alive. It's like that. I'm saying all the time, I don't want this and I don't want that. I don't want this, I don't want that. You're still keeping it alive by saying you don't want it. It's rather than focusing on the way you want to see it. So just be really mindful of what it is you're keeping alive all the time and why you're doing that. What is it feeding in you? Is it giving you the comfort because you've always known that? Or are you too afraid of what your life could look like if you didn't have things that way? So I also want to talk about the vaccine because someone asked me the other day, have I had the vaccine and would I get the vaccine, because they were like contemplating whether to get it or not. I haven't had it. I am choosing at the moment not to have it until I feel more confident. I'm not afraid of it. I don't have fear of it. So I've actually looked up. I decided to look up what was actually in the vaccine, because if someone's going to put something into my body, I'd like to know what's in it. I asked my doctor what was in it and she said, you have to look that up. She couldn't even tell me what was in it. So there's the two different vaccines at the moment in Australia, the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca. The AstraZeneca one is I've written some notes down because I got this off the Queensland Health page. It's a modified virus. So it's a adenovirus. I can't pronounce that. It's an active ingredient that comes in the group of viruses that is like bronchitis or conjunctivitis. So most people in their lifetime have had an adenovirus, I think that's how you say it, when they've either had bronchitis or conjunctivitis or something like that. So they take part of that virus, put it into the vaccine. It also contains emulsifiers, which is polysorbate 80. It contains preservatives. It contains amino acids, salt, and sugar. That's what's in the AstraZeneca one. That's the one that is causing a bit of problems with blood clots. the other one, the Pfizer, that has the new mRNA active ingredient, which is messenger ribonucleic acid. They get it's what it does. It teaches your body to develop an immune response. It's like giving instructions to your cells to make a piece of protein, and that same protein is found in the virus. They call that a spike protein. So it doesn't clump together to actually give you the virus. It stays because of the ingredients. They put it's like in lipids. So it's in a like if you think of fat or oil, it can contain itself in a bubble. So it stays in that, so it doesn't clump together to give you the whole, to form into the whole virus. It stays separate. And your body, your cells find this molecule that's come into your body, and it triggers your cell to produce a protein to boost your immune system to start fighting it. And so all it has in it the mRNA, lipids, salts, and sugars. It's pretty simple, but the problem is this messenger ribonucleic acid, the mRNA, has a strand of DNA in it. So I looked up, where does the DNA come from? Where do they get the DNA to put into make this gene? And on some websites, I saw that they were getting DNA from aborted fetuses, and in other ones, they don't tell you where the DNA comes from. So it's kind of like it's difficult to actually find the answer about where they actually take the DNA from, but they do. There is a lot of information out there that absolutely guarantees that that strand of DNA that is in the vaccine does not change or alter your DNA system, because it's your DNA system. Your DNA is in like this nucleus bubble that this other thing does not penetrate. So they are absolutely guaranteeing that your DNA won't be altered. But my whole theory on this is we all have different bodies, don't we? We all react differently. Why do some people get cancer and some people don't? Why do some people get multiple sclerosis and some don't? Why do some people get diabetes and some don't? Our cells and our genetic makeup is different in everybody. So, I mean, one person could get COVID and have absolutely no symptoms whatsoever, and another person could end up in hospital like gasping for air. Another person could get the vaccine and have no symptoms whatsoever and continue to live a very happy life, and another person can have a total reaction, have blood clots, die from it, or further down the track have a lot of health issues. And I guess that's the same with children that have had vaccines. The program that we go through with vaccinations as kids, some never have a problem for the rest of their lives, and some actually have really bad reactions to vaccines, and it ruins their life. So I don't know how you can put everybody into the same basket and say this is good for everybody, because each individual person has a different genetic makeup. So I think that's where the government's missing the point, because they're just saying everybody has to have it. But not everybody is the same. Like, shouldn't it be you sit down with your doctor and you discuss your medical history, you discuss the problems that you've had in the past, allergies that you've had to certain medicines? Can't you sit down and do that and then make an educated decision, rather than them just saying you have to have it without having your medical background? That's the part that doesn't make sense to me, because you know your own body. Like people with, why do some people have allergies to peanuts or eggs or milk? Like, that doesn't mean that everybody in the world, everybody has to drink a glass of milk. Remember being at school in the, they don't do this anymore, but in the 60s and 70s in school, we had to drink milk every morning, which was left, little bottles of milk left outside the classroom. By the time we got out there on a hot day, it was hot milk. And we were drinking this, like take the silver cap off and drink milk out of a bottle because the education department decided that all children needed to drink milk. How they didn't know that there was people with lactose intolerance and stuff like that. So what what were they doing? They're making decisions for the vast majority when we are different people. And that's actually where the issue is laying. This being told, being controlled, and being blackmailed into having, like, if you don't get your children vaccinated now with those, the like the measles, mumps ones and chickenpox ones, etc., you can't take them to school. You can't enroll in a public school if you haven't been vaccinated. You have to homeschool. That is a form of control and blackmail. Or they take your Centrelink payments off of you. They don't help you out financially if you just don't get your kids vaccinated. It should be choice. Like, I think it seems like our freedom of speech is very much getting killed, isn't it? Because even Facebook said the other day, if anybody speaks negatively about the vaccine, they will be banned off Facebook. Whatever happened to freedom of speech? It doesn't mean that these people are telling the truth, and it doesn't mean other people are. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's everybody's perception and everybody's opinion is going to be different. It's always going to be like that. You're never going to get everybody to think exactly the same way. That's not who we are as human beings. So, as I've said before, go with your gut instinct. If you feel like it's fine, go with it. If you feel like you're being pressured, see if you can get out of it. I just believe if you have a really deep discussion with your doctor about all your concerns, do it that way. Like, really talk about it. Talk about it. Don't hold on to it. And try to, if we want the world to be a better place, let's not all hang on to continually talking about and having thoughts in the negative. And if we all just visualized the type of world we want, that's where we want to push the energy to. We don't want to push the energy in the face of fear, because there's so many people out there that's still trying to pump fear into everybody. And if you react with fear, or you keep talking about it, which I'm doing now, but we're keeping it alive. So during my days, I try not to think about all the problems. I try to enjoy my day, enjoy my space, laugh, and I just try to keep everything light, not heavy, so that I can keep this energy filtering through. What's called alchemizing the energy, so that I'm not continually sending out more energy that's adding fuel to what's already going on out there. So that's my little talk for the day, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I know a lot of people are deciding they just want to wait. So, yeah, it's up to each person, but I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll talk to you soon.